So, social media and grief. This is an interesting one, right?
For sure. Or, I hope so.
Well, we live in a time now where social media can be both a blessing and a curse, I guess. We will definitely not come with expert advice on this, just so that is clear. I feel the need to say this as there's so much talk about it these days, screen time, bad influence, age restrictions, and so on. We will only discuss certain aspects that seem relevant with what we're discussing in our podcast regarding grief and how it can benefit or maybe feel too overwhelming. I don't know.
Yes. And also come with a few examples and stories from our own experiences.
Yes. So, we will touch on how it seems to have changed how people grieve, or going through difficulties in general, maybe. While some find comfort in sharing, others don't understand it at all. And it might also be a generational thing, or I believe it is, anyways.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And then you have the whole spectrum in between people who post about their everyday life and their grief every day, maybe. People who never post anything at all, and those who just check in on special dates. There is no right or wrong way, but it's definitely something that might trigger some reactions. People have opinions.
Yep, I know. And I think it's fascinating how different generations use social media. Like we all have access to the same platforms, but the way we interact with them is so completely different.
Yes, it totally is. Take the young ones. Gen Z, is that the name?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyways, they basically live on TikTok, Snapchat, and maybe also YouTube. I feel like it's like their search engine, their entertainment, their news source, everything. Meanwhile, the millennials like us, or I don't know, we are still hanging onto Instagram, posting life updates, nature, holidays, and maybe trying to keep up with trends also.
hmm And then you have Gen X. This is more us, I think. We're sort of like a mix. Some of us, I should say, are super active, especially on Facebook, and maybe also Instagram and Snapchat, also, of course, while others just scroll and never post. The watchers.
hmm Yeah, you are probably right. We are actually kind of that in between zone, I think. Basically, I feel like we're the last generation to know life before the internet, but young enough to fully embrace it, the best of both worlds, or the most confused.
Yeah, maybe. So, Nina, today's topic is one I think a lot of people have opinions about: social media and grief. Like, is it helpful? Is it performative? Is it healing? Or just, I don't know, damaging for some, maybe?
Hmm. All of the above, maybe. I think it's fascinating how much social media has changed the way we share and interact in general, for sure, but also in grief, or at least how we share our grief. Some people find so much comfort in posting, others really don't get it at all. And yes, again, we are also different.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's partly generational. We grew up without social media, but now it's such a big part of our lives. And I must say, especially for younger people, it's where they process everything, even grief.
And totally, as we said, the young ones, they basically live on Snapchat and TikTok, and it's their search engine, their diary, their therapist, all in one. And for some, sharing their grief feels natural, like this is what I'm going through, and I want people to see it, like raw and unfiltered.
Whereas for others, especially maybe Gen X or older millennials or us, that can feel uncomfortable or even inappropriate. Or am I wrong?
I don't know, but I can see that we use our platforms completely different, young and older. But about the grief sharing, there is science that actually backs up both sides. There is research showing that when people post about their grief online, like sharing memories, photos, or just venting, it can help them process emotions. It gives a sense of continuing bond with the person they lost. And if they get support, comments, messages, it can reduce feelings of isolation.
Right. It's kind of like a digital validation. Even a simple thinking of you can mean a lot, especially when you feel like the rest of the world has moved on and you're still stuck in it.
Yeah, exactly. And for people going through what's often called disenfranchised grief, grief that isn't always openly acknowledged or socially validated, like a miscarriage or the loss of an ex partner, a divorce, or losing someone to suicide, maybe. Social media can sometimes be the only space where that grief is seen, where it's acknowledged. They might find online communities or even just one post that make them feel understood. And I don't know if everyone who is going through this can relate, but for those who do, I mean, that can be huge.
Yeah, that makes so much sense in a way. But I imagine it can go the wrong way too. Like if you post something vulnerable and nobody responds to it, or less and less people respond, or even certain people that you expected that would and they don't.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the downsides. Some people actually feel worse when they don't get the kind of support they hoped for, or they start second guessing. Did I overshare? Was that too much? And
Ah,
such.
yeah, that performative pressure. Like grief becomes this thing that you have to do right online also.
Yep. And that opens up to the whole issue of comparison, also, I think. Some people start to feel like maybe other people are grieving better, maybe, or more beautifully. Like, wow, look at their tribute video. Mine was just a blurry photo and a crying emoji. I don't know.
Yeah, grief with filters and background music. I think that can be quite beautiful, actually, and honoring. But so can a picture, a blurry picture, or, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But it is wild, right? Because it's such a personal thing. But the second you put it online, it becomes public.
Yeah, not for discussions for sure. Then there might be this weird expectation that if you've posted about your loss, people know what you're going through in a way. But the truth is grief is so much more than a post, of course. It's ongoing, quiet and devastating and sometimes invisible.
And sometimes it's just too sacred to be shared. And I think that's okay too. Like there's no right way to do it, online or offline.
That's really the bottom line. Also, the science shows that agency or, having the freedom to choose how and if you share matters more than the method. Whether you grieve publicly, privately, or somewhere in between, it has to feel true to you.
So, blessing or burden?
I will say both. Depends on the day, depends on the person. But I think social media can be a blessing if we let it be a space for connection, not performance.
Amen to that. And hey, if anyone listening has experienced grief online, whether you posted or scrolled silently, we'd love to hear what that felt like for you.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation going because grief doesn't have to be hidden, and none of us are meant to go through it alone.
Now that we're talking about this, one story came to mind because you had a pretty strong reaction yourself when someone posted about your husband right after he passed, right?
Oh my God, yeah, that was rough. And now I'm kind of, I don't know, ashamed or embarrassed when I think back at it. But yes, that was me back then. So it was just weeks after he died. I don't recall exactly. But yeah, an acquaintance, someone I barely knew, but who knew him, from back in the days. Anyways, this person posted a picture of him on Facebook and some words. Beautiful and honoring words for sure. I don't remember exactly, but it was to honor him. I know that. But I had this immediate reaction. I even lost my phone on the floor when I saw it. I mean, my husband wasn't even on social media himself. He was such a private person, really, and he didn't want to be exposed on social media at all. So even I was kind of scared to, in caps, to share too much at first because it felt so invading or wrong towards him in a way. And suddenly
Yeah,
this person was receiving condolences on their page. I don't know. I mean, it just felt so wrong at the time.
I can imagine that. Something you didn't expect to see when you opened your phone. What did you do?
So I messaged immediately. Probably should have waited, I don't know, or just let it be. But I kindly but firmly asked to take it down. And of course, that was done right away. And the person wrote back to me and apologized and told me about their family loss. They lost a brother to cancer a few years earlier. So I know it was heartfelt and honest, that post of my husband, but in that exact moment when it popped up in my feed, it just felt like a violation.
Yeah,
And I wasn't at my best at the time. But yeah, the person was so apologetic and so sad about it. And of course, I felt guilty afterwards for reacting so strongly. I truly did. So if you're listening to this, I hope you understood my reactions at the time. And I know your heart was in the right place. And I actually saved the picture from the post. And it's such a good picture of him. I hadn't seen it before that day. So now I just want to say thank you for that. I love that picture of him. And also, I must thank again for being met with understanding at the time. And afterwards, when I thought about it and reflected some, I know that he meant so much to people around him. And him dying affected many people around us and him, people that knew him and not me. And that is a fact, a beautiful thing also. He is missed by many, not just our inner circle. And again, I hope people can see that grievers can have strong and maybe unexpected reactions to certain things, especially in the beginning. It's quite normal. But I know that most people's intentions is good, of course I do. And there's always something to learn for all of us. So let's leave it at that.
yeah. Of course, she understood that. Honestly, I think I would have reacted the same way in your situation. It's completely understandable. And it's interesting because that's exactly the thing. Social media has blurred so many lines, like what's okay to post, what should be kept private. Are you allowed to step into someone else's grief like that? Does it go by some kind of invisible rule, like the inner circle goes first when it comes to sharing? I mean, should that person have asked you first? And what's actually helpful and what's just too much? It's hard to know, right?
Yeah, it's hard to know. We are all so different when it comes to this. There is no clear rule book, no right or wrong. We're all just doing the best we can, I guess, especially when emotions run high. And yeah, people will sometimes do too much, too little, or miss the mark completely. That's just how it is. And social media makes it even trickier because it's so easy to be misunderstood there. Tone, timing, intention. It can all get lost in translation, I guess I could say.
Yeah,
But speaking of too much, I've used my platforms quite a lot to talk about cancer awareness over the years. And I know that for some people it might feel like a lot. But honestly, I've come to a point where I don't really care. Because for me, it matters. And if it helps someone or makes one person feel less alone, then it's completely worth it.
totally. That's the spirit. But do you really think that it's too much for people, though? I mean, cancer awareness, that is really important.
Yeah, it is, but I absolutely think that. And I have no doubt that some people might roll their eyes when they see yet another post about cancer or when my birthday fundraiser pops up every year for the same cause. But here's the thing, if even one person sees something I share, decides to maybe book a doctor's appointment and catches something early, then every post is worth it, right?
Yeah. And so many
And
people do that now. I feel like that's also a thing. People do that for their birthdays. And I do actually think that all these organizations that has those fundraisers, they actually do benefit from it. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
No, I agree. Because I'm raising money for an important cause, one that is deeply personal to me.
Yeah.
So if some people think it's too much, that's okay. This is the cause closest to my heart, and I'll keep using my platform to make a difference. And it's a good cause for sure. There are so many people out there affected by this.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think a lot of people appreciate it too. I mean, if some don't like it, they can just scroll past. It's not really that hard. And you can actually mute people too.
Yes.
I have done that. And, you know, when you feel like you don't want to unfriend anyone, but you don't also want to see their post take up your entire feed. And this particular person that I'm talking about now was like 20 posts a day, political and very extreme, you know, was during COVID and masks and this and that. I don't even know.
Mhm.
She must have spent 24 hours out of the day on Facebook. So I was only her that popped up when I
Yeah.
opened. So I just muted her at the end. She actually did say, because I feel like she got a lot of feedback on her post that was negative, of course, some positive too. But then she did say, if you don't want to see it, just mute me.
Mhm.
So that's what I did anyway. So I didn't see it, but I also didn't want to unfriend her because, you know, it wasn't worth unfriending her. But anyways, I
Sure.
just wanted to say that you can mute
Yeah.
it if you're not
Good tip.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah. Just mute or honestly unfollow if it's too much. But
Yeah.
anyways, everyone's got an opinion.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And that brings us to something important. We do know that by putting ourselves out there like this, you know, in our podcast, we're opening the door to opinions. And not just the nice, supportive ones. Those negative ones are still yet to come, though. But you never know, right?
Yep. We might get haters yet to come, as you say, but still, we have to prepare for those too.
Haters gonna hate. But please, just mute, don't hate. My
We
tip.
don't need haters,
My
though.
personal tip.
We've had enough drama in real life. Thank you very much. So just don't.
But then there's also the hate watchers, you know, the ones who follow you, watch every story, never like a thing, but somehow always have something to say.
Mm-hmm. Like, hi, welcome back to my feed. You clearly don't like me, but you never miss a post. They exist, I've heard.
Honestly, that energy could be used for something so much more useful, like watering plants or therapy.
Or just letting people live is free.
Yeah. And for the record, we don't mind quiet listeners, but passive aggressive ones, not so helpful. But we also know how this works. Some people would disagree. Some might think we talk too much about grief. Others might say we're not talking about it the right way. And then there's always someone who just doesn't like what we're being open about and our stories and all that.
Mm. And those people, well, that's kind of the risk we take, isn't it? I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I get nervous every single time I post something about this podcast on my personal accounts, like proper overthinking nervous. Every time something auto shares from our podcast Instagram to my Facebook, I'm like, oh no, there it is again. It feels like I'm rubbing our podcast in everyone's faces again. And for a second, I think, is it too much? Am I oversharing?
No, you are not. I mean, I do understand the feeling, but honestly, I don't actually think anyone thinks that. But it is important for you, and I think that you're definitely overthinking it.
You're right. I
Yeah.
should definitely stop and remind myself this is my space. I can post whatever I want. I'm not forcing anyone to read it or agree with it. It's just me sharing something I care about and something that matters to me. And this is also the best way to advertise our podcast, right? So we kind of have to do it.
Yeah, for sure. But I know what you mean. I think a lot of us feel that way too, like we're being too much. There's this weird pressure to be visible, but not too visible, to be honest, but not make people uncomfortable. It's quite exhausting, or it could be.
Could be. Yeah. It's that little inner voice, the janteloven whispering. Don't think you're special. Don't take up too much space. Don't make a fuss. But honestly, we're not here to stay small. We are reaching for the stars. But sharing grief is hard enough without also trying to be more socially acceptable.
There it is again, the law of Jante, the unofficial Norwegian rulebook for not standing out. Nope, not allowed.
But also, let's be real, we kind of have to share it, as I said, right? I mean, how else are people going to find it? We're not just chatting into the void here. We actually want people to listen.
Yes. And we also don't have a marketing department or some magical podcast fairy sprinkling us into everyone's feed. It's just us pressing share and holding our breath.
So if you're listening and you like what we are doing, feel free to sprinkle us into your feed too. We wouldn't mind at all. In fact, go ahead, call it grieffluencing. We'll take it.
Is that our new job title now? Grieffluencers?
Absolutely, it's a niche and someone's gotta fill it. But hey, have you heard of Mel Robbins? She talks about something called the let them theory.
Oh, yes, I love her. I've seen her pop up on my Instagram and watched her videos. And I know she's written a book too, but tell me more about it.
So I was listening to her on the podcast Feel Better, Live More. It's hosted by Dr. Chatterjee. Amazing podcast, by the way. Highly recommended to anyone who is into deep, real human stuff. So anyway, in episode 387, Mel is a guest and talks about how we spend up to 70% of our mental energy on things we can't control. Can you believe it?
70%. Wow, that's wild. But also very believable.
Right? And our whole mindset is basically let them. Let them judge, let them misunderstand, let them not like you, let them scroll past your grief post and not comment, let them roll their eyes when they think you're too much. And at the same time, let me focus on what I can control, like how I show up, what I create, what I care about, who I want to be.
Oh, wow. That's such a freeing shift. So instead of wasting energy on trying to manage how others react, you just let them.
Yeah, she really says so much of our fear of failure isn't really about the failure itself. It's about what people will think of us if we fail. And when you think about it, so many of us are just grown up people pleasers. We've been trained to make sure everyone around us is comfortable, even when it comes to the cost of our own authenticity.
You know that my daughter calls me that. You're such a people pleaser, mama.
Mm-hmm.
Or she also refers to me as Switzerland.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I feel that. Especially when you're talking about something as personal as grief. It's like walking this tightrope, wanting to be honest and vulnerable, but also constantly second guessing. Am I making people uncomfortable, or am I being too intense, too much? You know, those kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, and that's where let them come in. Like if someone doesn't like that we're talking about grief and sharing, let them. If someone think we're oversharing, let them. We're not here to make everyone nod along. We're here to speak truthfully about something that shaped our lives, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. We're not trying to be experts or even influencers. We're just two sisters trying to make sense of life and loss and hoping that by sharing it, someone out there might feel a little less alone in their own experience.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I'm not doing this to get sympathy or praise. I'm doing it because I know how isolating grief can be. If just one person listens and thinks, wow, me too, I'm not alone, then that's enough for me.
Totally. And that's the feedback that we're gotten too, right? People have gotten back to us to say exactly that, everything that we talked about so far has mattered to them. So when we talk about what we're going to talk about in our podcast, this episode was also one of them. So, yeah, so just let whoever wants to silently roll their eyes quietly unfollow us or mute us or, whatever. But then there's also the ones, like I said, sitting there with their own pain, feeling seen because of our conversations. And that is our hope and goal.
Yes, because that's why we do this. We let the others scroll past, we let them think whatever they want, and we keep going for the ones who stay. After all, we are Grieffluencers.
Yes, I guess we are now. You know what? Social media gets a bad rep sometimes, but it's not all bad. I've been using it now nonstop, for instance, to get inspiration for our summer holiday. We're going to Italy, so I'm doing all the research on what to see and do, and Instagram is a great inspiration for that, actually. But then also regarding this podcast and, the topic grief, I think a lot of people might find comfort finding other accounts where people have experienced the same thing. They also have like grief support groups, for instance, things you can sign up for. So I think it could be really helpful. And then for us, we post quotes on our Instagram that kind of fits the episode. So we've come across so many beautiful quotes about grief, and those just sometimes hit you right in the soul. And that is a beautiful thing, right? Because we are all about the quotes here.
You're right. It can be so inspiring, and there are just so many beautiful posts. And my all-time favorite is the account Rainbow Salt by Bianca Sparacino. I mean, her words are
Oh,
just...
maybe she's Italian.
I think so. I
Yes,
wanted to
it's
pronounce it
Italian.
in Italian.
Yeah.
Anyways, but her words are just healing. Her words kind of speaks directly to my soul, anyways.
Can you give us an example?
For sure. I know it can be weird and too much for some with all these quotes, but hold your horses and listen to this. Be proud of the way you fought to save yourself. Be proud of the way you survived. Or the one that says, grief is just love with nowhere to go. These are just a few examples I found now, but she is a true magician with her words. She has authored 3 powerful poetry collections, and her words just stays with me. It's so simple, but so true.
Beautiful. I need to go follow her too. Words and beautiful poetry and quotes can be so healing. And that's the thing. Social media can contribute to so much beauty and actually be comforting also. Sometimes it puts words to feelings that we didn't know how to express ourselves. And sometimes it helps you feel connected to people who've been through something similar.
Exactly. But listen to this one also. I just have to.
Mhm.
Are you happy? In all honesty, no. But I'm curious. I'm curious in my sadness, and I'm curious in my joy. I am ever seeking, ever feeling. I am in awe of the beautiful moments life gives us, and I'm in awe of the difficult ones. I am transfixed by grief, by growth. It is also stunning, so rich, and I will never convince myself that I cannot be somber, cannot be hurt, cannot be overjoyed. I want to feel it all. I am open, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Again, simply beautiful. And I totally get that these words give a special meaning while grieving or going through difficulties.
Yeah, and that's what I find so powerful when words manage to hold space for all the messy, complex emotions. They don't fix anything, but they make you feel less alone.
Yeah.
And speaking of sharing pain in a meaningful way, I've been thinking a lot about how my boyfriend uses social media. It is so different from the quote sharing and reflective stuff we are talking about, but still deeply intentional. As most people know by now, he also has cancer, and he shares on his Facebook about his treatments and his story to keep friends and family in the loop, especially those who live far away. It's his way of staying connected, but also protecting his energy. You know how small towns are, stories spread and not always accurately. By telling his story himself, he is setting the tone in a way, and he gets to choose how to tell it.
That is such a good point, and it makes so much sense. when you're already dealing with something so physically and emotionally draining. The last thing you need is to explain it over and over again to everyone you meet. So it's actually a really good way to get it out there so people know.
It is. And his energy is so limited. The fatigue is real, and he is not as social as he used to be, which is hard in itself, but even harder when people don't understand what's behind it. And when he shares online, it helps people get it. It sets expectations in a way that makes everyday life a little easier for him, and honestly for us who are close to him too. We don't have to explain everything on his behalf because people know.
Yeah, then they already know because they read it. And that is good. And it probably saves you from a lot of those awkward encounters too, where people don't know what to say or how to act. If they read his updates, they already have some understanding.
Yeah, it really takes the pressure off. And what's beautiful is how much support he gets in return. People send messages, check in, remind him that he's not alone, and I can see how that lifts him. It gives him strength in a way. It's a reminder that he's held by a community, even when he feels isolated.
And honestly, he's so incredible, I must say. The way he handles it all with so much grace and positivity. I think he's a real role model, a true inspiration, not just for others with cancer, but for anyone going through something difficult, really.
Yeah, for anyone. And he doesn't let the illness define him, still funny, still thoughtful, still curious about life. And that's what I admire the most. He shares not to get sympathy, but to stay connected and to remind people that there's still meaning, even in the hardest moments. And that is truly powerful, I think,
Yeah,
for everyone.
yeah, such an important point. Everyone needs to find their own way of sharing or not sharing, and we need to respect that. There's no right way to be open.
No, there isn't. But I think that's actually a powerful part of social media too. It gives you the chance to share your story on your own terms.
And that in itself can be healing too. So, yeah, social media isn't on just noise and filters. It can actually be a lifeline, a way to connect, to feel seen, and to set your own boundaries when life gets overwhelming.
Totally. It's not about oversharing, it's about sharing intentionally. And sometimes even just reading someone else's word can make you feel a little less alone and maybe also contribute to live more fully because we just don't know, right? When life can shift.
And that in itself can actually be life changing, as you say. These reminders, and you get to decide what you want to share and when you want to share it and how much you're comfortable revealing. It's like reclaiming a little bit of control in a situation that often maybe feels completely out of your hands.
Yeah, when everything in your life has turned upside down, that little square on Instagram or that Facebook post can feel like a way to say, this is where I am at, or this is real for me, even if no one reacts or only a few do. Just putting words to the experience can help you breathe a little easier, kind of like journaling, just a public one.
Right. And for some, it's not even about the feedback, it's about being witnessed. There's something deeply human about wanting someone to see your pain, not to fix it, not to judge it, just to witness it, maybe.
And at the same time, we also have to protect ourselves emotionally because social media can feel like shouting into a room where half the people are scrolling, a few are quietly moved, and maybe one or two might actually say something. But still, it's your voice and your grief deserves space.
And honestly, even the smallest moments can matter. Like when you read a caption that perfectly captures something you didn't have the words for, or you see someone brave enough to say, I'm not okay today. And you exhale because, same. And it's real life stuff, not just the perfections.
And I think it's not about oversharing, it's about sharing intentionally. And it's okay if your intentions is just to let your feelings breathe or to let others know that grief exists in many forms, even years later.
Or maybe even to show the world that there is life after loss. There is purpose and hope, and also joy in illness. That you can carry sadness and joy at the same time. That you're still standing, even if the ground shifted beneath you.
Yeah, that's exactly what my boyfriend is doing. And
Hmm.
he's a true hero.
Yeah, he really is.
And if someone finds your post too much or doesn't know what to say, that's okay. Like we talked about, just let them. Your grief, your story, your healing, it's not meant to be edited for someone else's comfort.
That's also the tricky part about social media. Some people find real comfort in sharing their grief, like truly opening up, while for others it feels too vulnerable or even inappropriate. And both are totally valid. But I read that studies actually show that people who share their grief online often feel less alone, especially younger people. They're used to processing big feelings digitally. That's where they go to be with others.
Understandable. But grief is also so personal. And when something that raw suddenly becomes public, it can feel like it's been taken out of your hands, also, maybe. Like now your private heartbreak is up for interpretation or judgment, just like me here, really. Hmm.
Wow, I do agree with that actually too. It could be maybe for younger people, it seems like it's almost too easy, you know?
Hmm.
But I think it's not just about what you post, it's about when you post it, how much you post, what kind of photo you share. I mean, you will potentially stir some reactions. It's just the way it is. Like, I've had those moments too, where I wonder, is this too much? Like doing this, as you said, or sharing a picture on Instagram, because you are up for potential judgment from other people. And we, of course, have these thoughts. I think that's quite human. It's this strange balance, wanting to honor your own feelings, but also being aware that people are watching.
So true. After I lost my husband, I kind of struggled with those moments. And I know it's a weird thing, maybe. But, anyways, I did or I do dwell on it. Should I post something on his birthday, on the anniversary of his death? Do I feel obligated to do it or no? How many more years am I going to do this? Is this still okay? So many thoughts because then that weird, almost shameful thought pops up if I don't post. Does it look like I've moved on too fast? But if I do post, does it look like I'm stuck in the past? Is that honoring or no? I get totally mind fucked sometimes, and I really want to do this to honor his memory. That's the thing. That's the whole purpose of doing it.
Yeah, it's such a mind game, really. But then there's the reaction side of it too. Like, do people like a grief post? Should they? Is that weird or expected or respectful? I guess it is, of course, but I've seen people sharing something really close to their heart, and then you just get a few likes, and you can't help but wonder, did people even see it? Did they care? Or was it just too heavy and people scrolled past it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just put a heart on it. Isn't that okay? Recognize it at least if this is a person on your friend list. Not that hard. But you always have those silent watchers, the people who never like or comment. And that's just the way it is. People use their platforms differently. And we all are free to like and share whatever we feel like.
Yeah. It's kind of strange to have this feeling too, because a like or a heart shouldn't really mean anything. Because
No,
I
that's the
do
thing.
that too. If I depends on the point where I open my phone. Sometimes I just open it out of habit and then just scroll and don't, interact with anyone or anything. And then other times I sit down and then I really look at the thing. So I guess it's normal.
Yeah,
But if you do it
same.
intentionally, I mean, then it's a different
Yeah,
story.
but I don't think people do that.
Let's hope not.
But you also have those who bring it up in real life instead. Like, I saw you posted or they posted. that was really moving, and you're maybe then like, okay, but where were you when I needed that bit of encouragement online? I don't know. That's maybe also a thing. No, but I think for me at least, the most important supporters are the one you have in real life, not on your social media, liking and commenting everything. This is not a big issue for me personally, but I do think that many of us have these thoughts regarding this from time to time. Like we notice that this certain person never likes or comments anything you post about your grief when we might expect them to. And maybe that's also a reason for some not to share at all, I guess, even if you want to, because they see that as a burden or a rejection in a way. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just my
maybe.
thoughts and reflections.
But now we're talking about grief and social media, and it's not that you need applause or hearts everywhere for that. But
Yeah.
sometimes a little response just helps you feel less exposed, maybe. Like you're shouting into a void. Because in some ways, it does matter for the person that posts it. It just does.
Yeah, but I've also come to think it's not always about us. You just can't take that personally. People scroll through so much every day, as we say, and grief is uncomfortable. Maybe they don't know what to say, even if it's just a Facebook post and it's easy to respond or react. Maybe they feel like if I comment now, I'll say something wrong, or they just freeze or scroll on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's not make it so complicated, maybe, and
Yeah.
important.
And I think sometimes people worry they'll open a wound or make it worse by saying or writing the wrong thing, like you say. And I actually do. I do think what I write to when I respond to certain things. It has to be the right thing, it has to be
Of
comforting
course.
enough. It can't be too negative. It can't be, it's normal. But silence can, I guess, also feel like a lack of support, even if it's not meant that way. So, very tricky.
Tricky, totally. But maybe that's where Mel Robbins' let them theory might help. Let them misunderstand you, let them scroll past, let them not know what to say. Don't try to manage everyone else's response. It's your story, your grief, your post. And if it helps you to share, do it for you, not for the likes or reactions.
That's such a powerful shift. I think we forget sometimes that we can just let people be who they are. Some people are expressive, some are quiet, some are avoidant, and some want to show up in a different way. It doesn't always mean they don't care, but it also doesn't mean that we have to take their silence as a measure of our grief's worth. And you have to be nice. That is the most important thing. As long as you
Okay,
don't
yeah.
post anything to hurt anyone. Dot,
Of
dot,
course, you have
dot.
to be nice. Be nice, please.
Yeah.
But for me, it also helped to realize that not everyone needs to get it. I mean, as I said, the people who matter, they see you. They show up, maybe not in a like or a comment, but in other ways in real life. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Right. And that brings us back to the most important point. There's no right or wrong way to grieve on your social media or platform. There's no rule book for what to post or how often. You get to decide how visible or invisible you want your process to be. And that's maybe the most powerful thing about your social media.
Yeah, and if you're someone listening who is navigating grief in this very public, very digital world, just know that whatever way feels right for you is the right way, whether that's pouring your heart out online or staying quiet and private.
Couldn't have said it better. Just don't let the noise decide for you. Let them think whatever they want. And you take care of your heart.
And if you do share and someone doesn't respond in the way you hoped, let them. If they don't get it, let them. If someone rolls their eyes at a quote that healed you, let them.
Because this isn't about performing, it's about processing.
Exactly. Do it for your own healing, not for the algorithm.
All right. I think that's a good place to wrap this part up.
Yes. So, to anyone listening, share, don't share, post, don't post, do what feels right for you. There is no right or wrong way to grieve online or offline. Just be kind to yourself and others.
Yes. Be kind, like we said. And if you happen to disagree with us, that's okay too. Just don't be a hater. We don't have the energy for that.
We really don't.
We're just two humble grieffluencers trying to bring some hope and comfort.
Right.
Love that word.
Yeah. That's a new one now. We created it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's suitable to end with some words from my biggest Instagram inspiration, Rainbow Salt by Bianca Sparacino. I wish I was Italian, by the way. Can't you read out the poem I sent you, please?
Yes, let me find it. Let's see. Remember, you are not promised tomorrow. So how are you going to ensure that you crash your heart into your life? How are you going to ensure that you leave this world whenever it happens for you with a soul that is tender and full and weathered in the best way, with a soul that was never asked to make itself smaller? We cannot wait to be the people we have always dreamed of being. We cannot wait for life to perfect itself. There is no right time. There is no perfect circumstance. We have to leap, even when our legs are shaking. We have to show up for ourselves now, because every single day is a gift. Do not lose sight of that. Huh? It is very beautiful.
Perfect ending.
For sure.
So thanks for listening, everyone. Stay kind and stay honest. And let them.
And let you. And to all of our beautiful listeners, we are taking the summer off now. So this is the last episode until we are ready again. Hopefully, we'll be back after the summer with new reflections and honest conversations. And please keep sending questions or topics that you want us to talk about. We would love to do a Q&A episode. And in all humbleness, feel free to like, comment, and share. Follow and subscribe.
Oh, you love this.
I don't.
Well, bye now.
Okay, bye.
Happy summer. Bye.
Happy summer.
Nina had a dream, all black and white. We were talking in English, yeah, that ain't right. Two Norwegian sisters miles apart, but that dream lit a fire, put a mic to the heart. Katrine's in the States, Nina's back home. Two voices, one mission through the microphone. Grief in life, the highs and the lows. We hit record, uh-oh, where the file go? Oh, we fumble, we stumble, but baby we shine. Lost the intro, never mind. Wi-Fi shaky, cables crossed, but our hearts stay strong, no moment lost. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. Grief walks in, pulls up a chair, says I'll stay a while, yeah, life ain't fair. But we mix it with laughter, a toast in hand, finding light where the dark still stands. Ba-da-da-boo-doo, is this thing on? Mic's on mute, oh well, move along. Ba-ba-dee, ba-ba-da, take two. Oops, too late, let's laugh it through. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. So plug in, lean in, let's take our time. No script, no filters, just rhythm and rhyme. We're here, we're now, we're in our prime. Two sisters, one dream, on the mic.